UK Black Men Talk Show live on Supreme Radio. We're talking with Noel Gordon about his experience in the system. So we're just going to keep it moving. If you want to interact, the number.
What's so bad about this? The government had already made up their minds about us. They were saying that black children were 12 points behind white kids. And on the documentary, Subnormal, a British Scandal, you'll see a guy there called Professor Hans Ising, a German guy. And he was their go-to man. He's a professor working at King's College University. And people just looked to him. They respected him, especially the establishment, because he was following a long line of academics who were saying that black people were stupid, black people were thick, we were two-thirds human. It came out of 19th century pseudoscience. They just made it up. They were never studying Africa and the way Africans were, black people were. They were saying that we were sick, we weren't intelligent. By the same token, you've got the pyramid there standing. You've got a pyramid. They don't even know how to build a pyramid. It was built by Africans, black Africans. You study history, and they had a cheek. And the thing is, our parents weren't told when they were putting us in those schools that the schools we was being sent to didn't have a curriculum. They lied. They did this time frame in the 21st century after doing the research and taking part in the documentary that happened to come my way. What people don't realise, I've been writing to my local authority where I went to school since the 90s. My parents tried during the 70s, couldn't get me out. And it's just something I knew intuitively. What they did was wrong. I left school, I couldn't write, I couldn't read, couldn't do none of it. That means I had to work as a labourer. I've got sickle cell, I can't do that sort of work. Yes. And that's just one of the reasons why I've been writing to them. Mm-hmm. The last letter I wrote was 2019. Spirit moved me again. Now I didn't know it. They came back and gave me a proper response this time. So we weren't responsible for the school. So I phoned them up and they said, I phoned up local authority. He said, it's now a special school with a curriculum. I said, I left in 82, they didn't have a curriculum. They said, they know, but it's just the way it was. They said, I'm out of time. He spoke to the legal team. I can't get no redress. And I'm thinking, but hang on a minute, I couldn't read, I couldn't write. Now you've got a curriculum. So surely that they're in the wrong. And they just wouldn't acknowledge it or accept it. And in 2020, I made contact with Latanya Shannon, who filmed me for the documentary. Mm-hmm. And I thought, if I don't tell my story, it won't get out there. And this will assist me in my struggle for justice. I didn't want to be on television, right? But I thought, if I don't say something, because they couldn't find anyone to actually, they couldn't find a black male to talk about their experiences. There's one guy, if you watch a documentary at the very beginning, yes. He said he hasn't even told his wife, let alone go on television.
Yes, I remember.
Because that stigma. Yeah, that stigma. We still carry the stigma. And we internalize it and blame ourselves. And even in families, people are saying, well, no, I can't talk about I'll tell you because you're my brother or my sister, but I can't tell anyone else about it. Because yes. they don't realize that shame and that stigma, it's not ours to carry. That was dumped on us because we were seen as inferior. We were seen as less than, just because we were black. And this all came out of a thing called eugenics. When the Europeans it's just made up. Eugenics is saying that Hans Ising was talking about hereditary intelligence. So if you're black, hereditary, your children, your grandchildren are going to be stupid because you're 12 points behind white children. And some of the people they were following, they doctored their papers and they've been discredited. So this is why this is so important. This is why we have so much problems in society. And they keep telling us, there's no racism. Theresa May said, but she's putting institutions on notice because she said there's a problem disparity. Boris Johnson comes in and he turns around and says there's no racism. This is the best place to live in the world for social mobility and all that. But we know that isn't true. A year after, you get Child Q. Child Q being strip searched, a female sitting in an exam, strip searched. And that was a big hoo-ha when it came out, a big problem. So why are we a child's being adultification, treating her like an adult when she's a child? This problem we're having has to come to an end at some point. We've got to keep fighting. My dad, because they told my dad I was a dunce.
They impact your relationship with your dad. Tell us about that.
Yeah, because they told him, because he respected the system. He said, they know what they're doing. This is the mother country.
Mhm.
And he was a walking calculator because they told him that I was a dunce. He just accepted it. He didn't think, well, maybe I can work with him. And when he came to the school, I got punched in the back. I wasn't quite 7. I got punched in the back by a boy of 15. His fist was the size of my torso. So I rang home. I'm supposed to be done, so I got no intelligence. So I know my home number, speak to the operator, reverse the charges. My mum comes on the phone. She's like, Dad's coming. I've got to go to work. My dad comes to the school, takes one look at the boy. He says to the headmaster, Mr. Atherton, his name was, this school is for handicapped children. And the headmaster said, well, we don't call them that. We call them slow learners. And my brother says to my dad, you're going to leave him here? My dad said, what can I do? My hands are tied. And they pacified him. So, well, don't worry, we'll sort him out. And then he left. And he could see the school wasn't right for me. But he had this thing in his mind, I'm dunce. There's nothing he can do about it. And I think he kind of felt, maybe he felt funny about it. Because my other 2 brothers, they went to the local special school. But I don't know what if my dad was told that, you know, your 2 sons are dunce. How it started was my 2 sisters and my 2 brothers started a secondary school together. When they came up from Jamaica, they went to primary, then they went secondary. They took the 2 boys out, left 2 girls. The 2 boys put in a special school, 2 girls left in a normal school. And my brothers, they've always worked in labouring jobs, or one of them became a car mechanic and all that. And they're doing all right for themselves. But the relationship with my dad, he took me to Jamaica when I was 15. He introduced me to my uncle, and he says, this is my last son, Noel, and he's dunce. And I'm thinking, well, you got to tell him that for? He doesn't know me. And dunce in Jamaica, it means you're stupid, basically.
The impact, Noel, what you're sharing here with your father and your relationship, that's an area that really stood out to me. You were denied a relationship with your father.
And the terminology they used, that I was dunce. They didn't use the term education subject.
They used that word. What did they say to your...
Yeah, dunce, yeah.
To your father, something else you said there, that your father, that he believed in the system, he respected the system. That's something that stood out as well.
Yes, yeah. Jamaican people revered the system. They had a lot of respect for them. Because these were white people. And this was the mother country. So even someone in local authority, if they say something, they're official. So they believe what they were told. And the word dunce is used in the British school system more of a joke. If you're not learning something, you're dunce. They put a dunce cap on you. When you learn it, they take it off. But for Jamaican families, they took it to heart. It just means that you're basically simple. You can't really do anything worthwhile. It wasn't until he was in his 70s he started to realise that there's nothing wrong with me. He shouldn't have believed and if you watch a documentary, my mum says he died with that in his heart, that I was in that school for so long and he couldn't help me. He couldn't help me. He could have helped me, but he didn't understand the system. And this is what Bernard Cord points out in the documentary. Had he gone down to Finsbury Park or had a chance meeting with somebody, because he came to Tottenham all the time, and they would have said to him, look, there's nothing wrong with your son. It's what the system says. And we know that it's all pseudoscience, it's all made up. Because they wanted black children to come over here, put them in special schools, do the dirty jobs that white people don't want to do. And they still got that problem today. Like when they talk about social care, they're low-paid jobs. They're not easy to do. It has to be, people don't want to do those work jobs that white people just don't want to do. Clean the streets, empty the dustbins, and that was going to be our role in society. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there.
There are questions that I have that I know you haven't been asked before, and I would like to ask those questions so that people can get an insight, a different angle to sit with this thing, because this whole situation, what happened to you and all the other people it happened to, it really is serious and it's deep.
See, the way I see this, right, we're still living in bondage. We're not really free. If there was no racism and there was free as they say we were, they would give us a public inquiry into the damage that they've caused, what they've done to us. Other groups are getting it, so why can't we get one? We had a meeting on the 11th of March, House of Commons, with Jeremy Corbyn came, John McDonnell came, Kim Johnson chaired the meeting, Professor Leslie Thomas, King's Counsel, he came, because they know the full impact, what it's done to us. We're a minority, and we're treated like we're dirt. And When we put our heads up and say, look, back, and say, look, we've not been treated fairly, they slap us down. We've been kicked down, shoved down and slapped down. For what? We were children, we've done nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
So, the second meeting we had was on the 12th of March. It was a public debate. You can get that on Parliament TV. Yeah, you've got to search for Kim Johnson. If you Google government petitions, parliament.uk, or government petitions, then type in the search bar ESN. Then you'll get a page come up. It'll say Justice for ESN Survivors. Below that, it'll say sign a petition. So far, there's 172 people. You click sign a petition. You fill out a little form. They'll send you an email, and when you respond to the email, the petition will be signed. We need a minimum of 10,000 signatures to get another debate. So when I started this in 2023, Labour were not in power. The Tories weren't responding to me at all. 2 years later, Labour were in power. We got the first debate March the 12th, and there were 25 MPs supporting us now. Previously, there were 5. Now there were 25 supporting us. And we deserve a public inquiry. So I'd like people to sign the petition. We've got to keep fighting. We should be kicking up a stink. We should be making up a noise about this. How dare they say that our children were stupid?
In a few words, tell me why this song? Why the Bob Marley song?
I suppose he says, no, don't worry. Everything's going to be all right. And in the long run, it will be all right, because we're in the 21st century now, talking about our experiences and how we've been persecuted, how the government have denied us our due process, fair play, rule of law. But if we keep fighting, it will be all right.